face was older, my heart knew it was you, alright. I saw a side of you that I never saw before. And when the morning came, I closed my eyes, hoping I could talk with you some more. So thank you for stopping by. You must have known I wore my memories out. I've played them back so many times, and I was longing for a moment with you. No, it may not be reality, but sometimes dreams come through. There's so many things I could have said, like how much I miss you, I won't forget you, but I got lost in time instead, because it felt just like you had never left this place. And it reminded me that you and I share a bond that death cannot erase. So thank you for stopping by. You must have known I wore my memories out. I've played them back so many times, and I was longing for a moment with you. No, it may not be reality, but sometimes dreams come through. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for stopping by.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Song Sung True a Veteran's View. I'm Tom Lamog, an instructor with the G4V Cyber Chapter and with Cav Arts, the Challenge America Veteran Arts Community. And if you've watched us before here live on some of the other shows, then you know why we're here, and that's to feature the stories and original music of combat veterans who go on to become musicians and singer-songwriters. But tonight we're doing something a little different. We're going to shift the perspective to that of a military spouse. Our guest is Nashville singer-songwriter Rachel Hill. And let me find you, Rachel. I've got you. There you are. Let me bring you on screen here. How are ya?
I'm good. Hey, everybody.
Welcome, Rachel Hill. Let me just continue on with some information that I've learned about you. Rachel is also a mom. She's inspired by her Kentucky roots with deep commitment to her faith. She began her love for music as a child and sang with her family at church. She's developed into an exceptional songwriter and vocalist. Just check out her material online like I did. Through her music, Rachel recounts experiences that she and her family have shared throughout their time in the military. And as a songwriter, Rachel has been recognized by the Nashville Songwriters Association International as someone to watch. Having once been selected as a Golden Pick winner, Rachel was also the 2019 winner of the pop rock category in the New England Songwriters Competition for one of her original songs, like Lightning. And guess what we are going to be talking about tonight? Music. Because this is why we're bringing you here to talk all about music, about your musical career, learning how to play the instruments that you play, and also integrating the things that you shared with me about your life, your life as a youth, growing up, becoming married, and then becoming the military spouse, and then onto a career in music. And we got so much to cover in this hour. How are you this evening, Rachel?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, do you do these podcasts often? I have to ask that because it's kind of like, I'm kind of late to the game with getting people on the show and all. But are you one who's out there often with podcasters?
No, not really. I don't think I've ever done one quite like this. I've done a few radio interviews, podcast interviews, but not live like this. So this is really cool.
I've like I said, I've done a little bit of research online. Just pulling up your name and see that you were active with Operation Encore, just a wonderful organization. I'm hoping that we can talk about that. You've been leveraging, I believe, your brother to do some work with music, some of the compositions that you've written, and he's out there performing. You're out there performing as well, too. So all exciting stuff. Can we go back, though, to your video? Because, this was really... the way that you explained it to me when I said, are there musical, tunes, preferably something that you have in video that you want to share? And it was Dreams Come Through was the one that you suggested. And maybe you can, tell me a little bit about the song, about, really the motivation behind it, first of all.
Yeah. So that song, it's from way back in the archives. I was actually, I don't even know what brought that song to mind. But
you've written so many.
I actually had to. I that one surprised me for some reason because I didn't remember us talking about that one. But so that song came from actually a real true experience, and I don't know if anybody else has ever had this happen, but I'll just get right into it because so my husband and I we have a daughter, but we had two children that passed away when they were infants. We lost two sons, and they had a genetic condition, and they each just lived to be almost 5 months old. And so that song came, like. If you've lost someone you love, you might have pictures and you have your memories, and those things are kind of ingrained in your mind. You kind of hold on to those. But every once in a while, even now, it's been many years ago when we lost our sons. Every once in a while, I will have a dream, and it's that kind of dream where like you see the person and it's them, but it's not them, so I had a dream the night before I wrote this, that one of my sons was he was grown up, and I was having a conversation with him. And I just, a lot of, some of my songwriting is just for fun. Sometimes my songwriting is just a little bit of a emotional creative release, and that's sort of what that was. It was just this idea of like, I almost have a new memory now because, I saw you in a dream. So that's where that came from.
You're touching on something that resonates with a number of the other songwriters, the creative outlet, particularly in situations that you just explained about the loss of loved ones and all. Is this something that came right out of the sky in terms of, I'm going to create a song, or is this something that you just had to kind of dedicate yourself to work towards, to study, to become creative in using this as an outlet? How did that work for you?
Yeah, well, I started, so at the point that I wrote this song, which was I guess probably 5 or 6 years ago. I can't remember what the videos of, maybe almost 5 years ago. I've been writing for a long time, but I think, I was kind of drawn to music and songwriting at a young age. Anything artistic, really. I used to love to draw, just something about creating something. I have this belief that as humans, that's just part of being human, is the desire and the need to create. And so when I kind of figured out, like, oh, I love music, I love poetry, it was just kind of natural that the next step was to kind of try to combine the two. And so I started, the first thing I ever remember writing was, I was motivated by money, because my high school had this competition, and they wanted a song for their, a song about, I grew up in Kentucky, and a lot of coal mining towns around, and they wanted a song about coal conservation. And so I thought, I can do this. I can win this competition and win this $100. So I took someone else's tune and wrote a song, to go to the words to go to the melody. And that was kind of the first time when I was like, this is interesting. And then from there I just kept, practicing, working at it. Both at the writing part and the playing part too. But
Oh, very cool. Now, if we can go back to the song for a minute,
yeah.
who was the first person that you played it for, and do you recall their reaction?
I don't actually remember. I assume it was probably my husband, because usually he's the first person that I play songs for. So no, I don't remember his exact reaction. I know that he liked the song and he understood it. We're kind of connected in that way. I do remember that. Like,
Speaking of your husband, I can tell you that after some of the information about yourself that you shared about your songwriting and such, I noticed that there were some comments on social media from him that kind of, it's basically he's completely in support of the songwriting, and kind of like, this is, if she tells the story, I'm totally fine with it because she knows, right? And it's kind of like you save him from having to tell the story. Is that how it usually works when it comes time to sharing stories about things that you both have experienced, both in family situations, or maybe outside of that, and maybe military things? Is that something that?
Yeah, he's so incredibly supportive. Like, I don't have a bigger fan. And I guess even if he didn't like my songwriting or music, he would still support me, because he's just an awesome guy. But yeah, I mean, he's been completely supportive. I've written some songs just gushing over being in love with him, and written some very personal songs, like about our loss. And I've also written some silly songs. I almost got him in trouble one time because we lived on a base in Korea, and I decided it would be fun to write a song about the base that we lived on. And actually, it turned out that people liked it, but there was a brief moment in time when he got called to see the commander, where he thought he was really in trouble. But
So for something you did?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I wrote a song. So there used to be a base in Seoul, Korea, and we were stationed there. He's actually in the Air Force, but we've been stationed with the Army and the Navy and all over the place. And we were stationed in Seoul, Korea at Yongsan Garrison there. And so it's kind of like, people would, I loved living in Korea. You get some of the most, you build the best friendships when you're stationed overseas, and you get to know people, and it's really awesome. But it's sort of one of those assignments that I think most people, when they find out they have to go to Korea, they're like, why me? And so the initials for the base were USAGY for United States, base Yongsan. So I wrote a song called USAGY me. Why me? And it was just like, just jokes that people that lived there knew. And I posted it, and then people started spreading it around. And then somebody was like, they're playing your song at the commissary. And anyway, it just, it was a little embarrassing, but he handled that well.
That's the musical partnership. That's how it all starts. So, based on some of the things that you're sharing with me, you have talked about at least 3 songs here. How many songs? Do you know how many songs you've written and well, I'll say performed, because maybe recording it isn't something that you do with every single song. But do you know how many songs you've written?
I have lost count. I mean, probably around.
That's a good
my
thing.
best guess is between 700 and 800, maybe.
700 or 800.
But I write
Paul,
like a lot. I
we
wrote
need to
this
get her
morning
on
with
the next
somebody. So
songwriting show.
yeah.
700 or 800. Wow, we need to talk about the inspiration behind those. Is this something that you do solo, or is this collaborative? I know that we have a number of our singer-songwriters who enjoy the collaborative aspect of it. But oh my goodness, you must know a lot of people in the industry to write that many songs, or maybe you just like to write.
Well, I've been doing it for a lot of years because I got a few years on me, but I've lived in Nashville for a few years, and that kind of propelled me because there's so many people here that write, and so now I co-write a lot. So that that helps double or triple your effort sometimes. So that's pretty amazing. But yeah, it just I think that my brain just works in songs. So like there's always a couple going on up there.
Awesome.
So.
Hey, let's go back to your youth. I typically I do this with everyone that I interview to kind of help us understand the songwriter and what they've been through since youth to become who they are. So maybe you can. Here's my official first question that I've already shared with you as we were planning this meeting. Can you tell us a little bit about the young Rachel? What your family, what do they think of you? What your friends may have. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I grew up in Kentucky, Western Kentucky. There wasn't a lot to do. We rode four-wheelers around and, went to ball games and things like that. I was really into sports. I loved basketball and softball and tennis, and I think that I was fairly quiet and just a good kid, just a good kid. I've got a couple older sisters and a younger brother, and to this day we're all really close, so that's amazing. I had a good childhood, very thankful for it. Yeah.
And how would your family describe you if they were to, that Rachel, she's the sweetest kid?
So this is the thing that I think is funny about my family. So everybody in my immediate family, they're all just like very even, very calm. So in normal circumstances, people think that I'm super laid back and calm. But when I go to things with my family, I'm the bossy one. So I don't know.
Go figure.
That's yeah.
Get you ready for the music
because
industry.
they are so calm that I'm bossy. But yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Even your older sisters, huh?
Yeah.
How did they
Yes.
deal with that? Did they ever have to put you in your place, or did they like? Oh,
No.
okay, I'll back up.
Yeah, no, they're too sweet for that. They're just
Now they had a role in your musical youth. I mean, you obviously started to get into music, and you were sharing with me some of the things that you did with your sisters and your brother way back when. First of all, did your
Yeah.
parents were your parents involved with music? Did they play music?
my mom was a singer. Like my mom sang all the time or whistled. She was a singer, whistle while you work kind of person. But she did some singing in some like gospel groups and things like that. And so she actually like, you know, my sisters were, well, my mother decided that we all needed to take piano lessons. So that was our introduction to music. And my oldest sister is actually really a pretty good pianist. And then my other sister, I think she liked to socialize more than practice, so she didn't really take to it. And my brother's a good pianist. I'm kind of like, but
yeah.
But so we did that, and then you know my brother and I particularly we're a little closer in age, and he's super talented. Like he didn't really need a lesson in piano. He just if he heard something he could play it and could sing really well, and you know now he produces and can play a lot of stuff. So we sort of like grew up. Like I grew up trying to make music with him, which was super helpful to me because he is very talented. So.
Well, you mentioned the piano was your first instrument, but you play primarily guitars. Is there a connection between piano and guitar?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love piano, but you know, guitar's portable, more portable. So
You want to strap that piano on the back?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't. I could play a
Neither
little
do I.
guitar maybe.
A guitar, kind of the same
uh,
thing, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, so when I started playing, I first picked up a guitar when I was in college, basically, and suddenly when I was actually seeing these chord shapes on the guitar, then it helped everything click for piano. Because for me, I learned piano by learning how to sight read music and play, you know, in keys. But I didn't really connect the dots. For some reason, it didn't click with me. Like, oh, you know, if you play a C and an E and a G, then you know that's a C chord. But then suddenly, visually, like if I played a C on piano, then I would think of my fingers being in a C position, you know. So it was just kind of cool. Like, oh, suddenly I can play piano too, you know.
You
So
know, it's funny, you know, because I started off, my parents also had me start with piano. And that was really the first of many instruments. But it's funny, now that I play guitar, I still think about the chord shapes of a piano in
while
my
you're
head
playing
rather than
guitar.
playing the open chord itself. And
Yeah.
I can't seem to shake it. I think it was just really the 10 years of piano that's just been ingrained in my memory. Everything I play, even, you know, the other instrument, mandolin, it's kind of like I still think
Yeah,
of the piano
yeah.
keyboard. It's like, is that a curse?
It's
I'm
really
not
fun
sure.
though, because as you
Yeah.
pick up, like I'm not really good at anything, but I sort of like dabble in different things. But you know, with everything that you pick up, it's just like it builds, and so that's fun. And as a songwriter, that's awesome because you have all these different, you know, instruments that you can pick up for like inspiration, you know. So that's cool.
Gosh, I know, you know, I'm getting ahead here by saying, and then you were telling me about MIDI.
Oh yeah,
And I thought,
yeah.
oh, she is a geek. She's a total music geek. I had no
thank
idea.
you very much.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh my God, you can play any instrument that you want now that you told me that you play, you know how to program MIDI. It's like,
Sitar.
wow, I don't even do that. So, yeah, sitar. I'm sorry, I don't mean that. You're not a geek. You're so glad.
I
So
think
glad
it's a
you showed up tonight.
I take that as a compliment. So.
Tell your brother that I said that, and
Yeah,
maybe
I
he'll
will.
appreciate that. You know, I can't believe we're sailing through this interview. It's a couple minutes before the top of the hour. We got to get in a live performance of something here. What do you feel like playing? Because you've got a whole library of songs. I saw at least 20 on your. By the way, Paul did post Rachel's social sites. So for those who are interested in checking out her vast library of material and
I'd
videos.
love to connect. Yeah, I'd love to connect with any.
Yeah,
artists. That'd
by
be awesome.
all means. But what would you like to play? What selection would you like to share?
What
with
did we
everybody?
have next? What were we thinking about playing?
You know, we were talking about could have been mine, but we didn't get to
Okay.
this. We didn't quite get to that. So unless you want to tell this,
Well, I
unless you want
can.
me
I
to
can
tell the story.
I can tell the story.
Can I just say,
So
I thought the order didn't matter because you were going to play all 800 songs tonight.
you know what? I will do that if
It's the
anybody.
Rachel Hill Marathon.
My
Whew.
gosh. Have you got time? My next appointment
I
isn't
thought
until
my
next week.
I
So.
thought my audio went out. Did she say 7 or 8 or 7 or 800?
Exactly. There was no hiccup there. It was 7 or 800.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to do this song, I'm going to use some words for sure because when you asked me to do this, when I was like, because there's 700 or 800 songs, I was like, what are the?
Just roll
Which
the
songs
dice.
do I
So
want
I
to
will
use?
probably just mess this up.
No problem. Just
But-
share what you want with us.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll totally dig it. All right,
Yeah,
Rachel Hill, everyone.
I'll give it a try. So let me see. This song's called "Could You Have Been Mine," and it is based on a true story. So I think I'm going to tell you part of the story, and then I'm going to sing the song, and I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. So my husband and I have known each other since we were kids. Like we say, we met on the playground. So anyway, we didn't date until like after college, and we sort of had a friendship, and I was really liking him to the point of love. And anyway, one night I just couldn't stand it anymore, and we were not living in the same place. He was living in Mississippi in pilot training. I was in Kentucky, and I just called him up and I said, "I need you to know I love you." So this is about that. So. My heart beats fast, staring at your number on my phone, 'cause I've gotta know so much unsaid on the last night that we were alone, and you had to go. I can't go on with this regret. There's still one question I've not answered yet. Oh, could you have been mine? Could you have been mine? I should have let you know, but I locked it inside. I locked it inside. Now I'm wondering if I call you up, said I love you, would you say you love me too? I confess I'm scared that I might be denied, a fool in your eyes. But worse than that is a fear that I may never try. Let love pass me by. Oh, if I could, I'd just forget. But there's still one question I've not answered yet. Oh, could you have been mine? Could you have been mine? I should have let you know, but I locked it inside. I locked it inside, and I'm wondering if I called you up, said I love you, would you say you love me too? So yeah, I called him and I said, I just need you to know I love you. And then he, of course, said back, thank you. And then we didn't talk for like a month because thank you wasn't really what I wanted to hear. And then he had
There's
some
another
time
song
to
in there.
he had some time to think about it, and then he decided he loved me too, and then we got married like 6 months later, and that was 23 years ago. So
Yeah, and it's funny. I happened to catch the post about that song that he had made, and I thought I got to ask Rachel about this because this
Yeah.
sounds like this story of young love. It's
yeah.
oh my gosh. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I want to go back to some of those early times when you were making friends, forming friendships, and then of course, finding Ryan, and then developing that relationship. Was making friendships something that was easy for you way back when, or was this something that it's like you had to kind of work towards?
Um, I grew up in such a small town that I think, there were people that I went all the way from, preschool, kindergarten, through high school with. And so, I think that there were just kind of like friends there, you know. I don't know. This brings me to like today. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I feel like it's a lot harder today because when I grew up, we didn't have social media and stuff, and that's a whole different, a whole different thing. But, I think I made my friends in activities, like in like playing music or playing sports, things like that, best I can remember. So.
Do you feel comfortable hanging around with other musicians? I mean, since you started off, playing music, and I don't know if you had
Yeah.
gone to like orchestra or band or anything like that in your youth. My guess is you probably did.
I didn't actually.
You
I
didn't?
wasn't. Well, I had
Okay.
a conflict, playing sports. I had a conflict with band, and we actually didn't have an
Mhm.
orchestra at our school either. So, but yeah, that was a time, and I was actually having this conversation with my daughter earlier. Like, I think maybe back before people were distracted by a lot of other things, that people formed bands a lot, just for fun, maybe just because we didn't have anything else to do. So I remember like one year I asked for a drum kit for Christmas, and my parents got it for me. And so then it was, me and my brother, and usually guys. I was usually surrounded by guys because that's most of the musicians. And, we were trying to learn some song, and it sounded terrible, but my dad just turned the TV up louder, and, but, like I don't, I sort of feel like, I might be wrong about that, but I sort of feel like there's a lack of bands these days, like that's not something that people do anymore, but,
Some would agree with you for sure.
yeah.
With the DJs and all, having there's even karaoke. It's kind of like just the nightlife itself reflects, a lot more than just the bands that are out there. But I don't know. You're in Nashville. You tell me, right?
Yeah. Well, I see a lot of like, artists. I see artists, and they might have
Uh-huh.
bands that back them up, but like actually, like Leonard Skinner's and things like that. Like there's.
Now, were you doing a lot of writing back then too? I mean, were you like keep maintaining a journal, or were you doing any type of poetry or anything like that got you eventually on the path of songwriting?
Yeah, I was. I would write poetry. I started trying to write, songs in high school, like I was saying. I think the song that I wrote for my you know science competition, then it turned into like, oh, well, maybe I can have a creative way to do this assignment for history, and then it just kind of like I realized like, this is something I can do. I like poetry. I like music. I even before, back when I was a kid, I would sit at the piano and kind of like, dabble around and like make up little instrumental type things. Um, so I was kind of a constant was trying to create, something.
Really, really
Yeah.
good. Gosh, and I know this question is going to come up if Paul doesn't ask it. I might have to ask it now. Which comes first, lyrics or music? Yeah, I mean, were you at that point where you could say, you know what, I think I'm going to write the words first,
Yeah,
or
I think
was
that's
it too
a
early, or?
good I think that's a good question. I always ask people that too, like other writers, and a lot of people have an answer for that, but I think most of the time for me it's like I tend to think in maybe it's because I'm write a lot of country music, but I tend to think in like hooks. So whatever is going to be the title of the song, and maybe that's going to be like the end phrase of the song, and then my mind will make a melody out of that hook line, and then everything else kind of comes together at the same time. So
That's fascinating.
for me,
Yeah.
but there's no like, I don't have necessarily a prescribed way to write, but that's probably, 80% of the time. That's what I would do probably.
Do you typically start off with an idea and then go off to collaborate, or do you usually sit down with a group of people and let's write a song about this? Is there a formula for that, or?
That depends on who I'm writing with. Like this today, I co-wrote with someone who is an artist, and I mostly try to be a songwriter. I do release music from time to time, but some people are actually like pursuing being an artist. And so like this morning writing with her, she had an idea for a song and she wanted to write the song, and we knew we were writing it for her to sing. So we tried to very much write it in her style, from her viewpoint, and something that she would feel proud of, that she, that really resonated with her. So it sort of depends. If I'm just like, oh, like I may play this one later, but one day I was driving down the road with my dog on, just because my dog likes to, stick her head out the window and
Do
sniff.
dog things. Yeah.
Do dog things. And so, that just like triggered a song idea. Well, that was a song for me, that maybe other people relate to. But so then sometimes I just, start writing those in my head, and then they come out.
So, do you have a way of capturing those ideas on the fly? Like, do you keep a phone, your notepad, and all that?
Yes, I use. The voice memo. Let me see. Let me look at my phone. I'll tell you my count here.
This is a
of
tool,
voice
everyone.
memos.
Pay attention. Yeah, I mean, if you're
Yes.
going to get into songwriting or just writing music, that mobile device just became
Yeah.
a tool for you.
All recordings 3,163. So that's
Paul,
how often.
songwriting course. Sign me up. We need an instructor.
That's
Oh my God.
I wear that out.
3,000?
But
There must be a
that's
massive drive on there.
that's so much better. I also use the notes. I write down notes. When we're co-writing, we do a lot of like either shared notes, or we do like Google Docs. So we can both see it at the same time and both
Right.
edit it. But that I really wear that out, and that is such a great tool, the voice memo, because you can capture it right then, because usually we all have our phones with us. But before that, I remember taking like a tape recorder that had the little mini tapes in it. I don't know if you guys have
Oh, I
ever seen
remember
those. Maybe the audience is too young.
mini
But,
cassettes or
yes,
something. Yeah.
and that's like, I would take that around with me.
That was the
record
technology
ideas.
at the time, for sure.
Yeah.
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 At least you weren't like, Paul and I were just talking about this earlier about, having to learn songs by putting the stylus on the vinyl and then just, those days are
Right.
gone forever.
The
thank
needle.
goodness.
You got the needle there. And just listen back. I didn't have to do that. So
Well,
Well,
lucky you.
When the needle was getting really worn out, we had to put a nickel on top of it to keep it pumping. But I'm just going to say,
Keep it.
Rachel, you're like a song ATM. So I'm like, if someone needs a song, I'm going to be like, hey, Rachel, send me number 17, and I'll have a song.
What is
I
your PIN
just-
number? We need your PIN number to access, Rachel. So
I love to
funny.
write. I love to write.
well, let me change the subject. The topic about getting to becoming a military spouse. I mean, there's obviously this goes way before becoming that military spouse, but becoming first of all friends. And can you share with us a little bit about how you met your husband and how things carried over through the years? And then some things that you're wanting to share that
Sure.
you'd
Yeah.
like.
Well, first, I 100% did not know what I was getting into, I think, being a military spouse. But I didn't know anything about the military, really. And so I knew Ryan, like I said, we say we met on the playground. We've known each other since we were little kids. Don't really remember meeting. But he was already in the Air Force when we started dating. And so I think I shared this with you before, Tom. Like we after the whole I love you, thank you story, we got married. We did what a lot of people we've found do, courthouse weddings, like because there's this thing that happens. Like for me, I was ending a job that I was doing, and we were going to get married, and I needed to get on his orders, and I needed to get on his insurance. So we went to a courthouse, and we got married, and then we had a fake church wedding after that. So
Is that a secret? Should we not say?
You know, it was a secret. It is not now a secret, but because I guess I just
It's a song now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Rachel, there's a hook. Fake church wedding.
Fake church wedding.
Sounds
I gotta confess now, I've already written the song, and I called it "This Knot's Already Tied." So, but
I was gonna say that sounds like a military wedding. Period.
yes, absolutely, yeah. And we appropriately, after a courthouse wedding, we were in Texas, so we went to Whataburger. So,
Of course. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And anyway, I think I shared this with you. So that was back in July of 2001, and we went to see the movie Pearl Harbor was out then. And I don't know if you've probably seen it. It was a pretty popular movie. And we walked out of the theater, and I remember thinking to myself, "Whew, I'm so glad I don't have to worry about Ryan going to war." And yeah, and then just 6 weeks later, September 11th happened, and has kind of defined our marriage in a lot of ways, and our generation. And so military life was just new for me. Everything was new about it. I think that they should issue you at the beginning, like when you get married, they need to give you a list with all the acronyms so that you can understand what the sentence means.
The lingo itself. It's like,
yeah, I'm getting
yeah.
TDY and we're getting PCS, and I'm like, what? I don't know. And why don't they put the names on the buildings instead of just numbers? I don't know where I'm going. But yeah, there was a lot to learn. But the military community that I found was just amazing. For all the hard things, I wouldn't trade it. We've made so many great friends. I'm so proud of my husband. I'm so proud to, be able to support him. And it's been a really cool ride so far, in a lot of ways.
Now, since 9/11, or even before that, when when you finally tied the knot and started living life, there were a lot of things, obviously, that you've been through in that time. I mean, I'm thinking his, just the separation while he was deployed, maybe moving. You were talking about Korea. And then, of course, the things that you shared with us earlier about having a family. And, do you recall some of, I don't know, I want to say anything that you learned that might be of value to someone who might be undergoing that same, potentially same situation from your experiences?
Yeah. A lot of things, I think one thing is that, things are always changing anyway, and the military's always changing. When, back at the time I was talking about, we were still having to, use, nighttime minutes to call people on the cell phone, and, there was no, FaceTime or anything like that. So I was sort of forced to, get into the community where I was. And And that would still be my advice, I think. And maybe some ways it's a little more challenging because I think, moving is hard. So you move from one place to the next, and there's this like, oh, but I liked where I was, or I liked those people, and I want to stay connected to them. But I think it's really important to surround yourself with actual people in a real community where you are, and get to know them, and, believe that you are where you are for a reason, and go enrich other people's lives, get through things together. So I think that would be my biggest thing is just, embrace where you are,
We can talk a little bit more about this, but I think it's time for another song. I mean, it's wonderful to have you. What I got from this song, it's almost like chronology. Your relationship with Ryan and the things that you have been through together. That's what I got out of the song itself, but maybe you can kind of fill the rest of us in.
Yeah, this is, I actually wrote this one for Ryan for our 10th anniversary as a gift, because I'm not very good at finding the right gifts, so sometimes I just write songs. But yeah, it's just about our life together up to that point. It's called Another Trip Around the Sun.
All right, Rachel Hill, everyone.
To you're in Afghanistan. I'm praying for you, baby. Get back to me as fast as you can. Trip 3, our baby's on the way. Trip 4, it's just me and you. We're learning how to love through the worst times too. But I can't wait to take another trip around the sun with you. Storms ahead or skies are blue. We'll be alright. Gonna wrap my arms around you and hold on tight. Spinning through the universe, exciting new adventure. Or same old same. Nowhere else I'd rather be. You know it's true. I can't wait to take another trip around the sun with you. Trip 5 on to Tucson. Trip 6 we're having too much fun. She's a little bundle of joy, and her daddy's troubles have just begun. Trip 7, it's time to go again. Trip 8, will it ever sell? I'm so tired and don't feel well. I'm sorry, I know that's no reason to yell, but I can't wait to take another trip around the sun with you. Storms ahead or skies are blue. We'll be alright. Gonna wrap my arms around you and hold on tight. Spinning through the universe, exciting new adventure. Or same old same. Nowhere else I'd rather be. You know it's true. I can't wait to take another trip around the sun with you. It's trip 9 and we're praying for someone we both love, but it isn't looking good. It's trip 10 and I'm lying here with my best friend, thinking of all the trials that our loves withstood. And I can't wait to take another trip around the sun with you. Storms ahead or skies are blue. We'll be alright. Gonna wrap my arms around you and hold on tight. Spinning through the universe, exciting new adventure. Same old scene, nowhere else I'd rather be. You know it's true. I can't wait to take another trip around the sun with you. Another trip around the sun with you.
All right, Rachel. Rachel Hill, Another Trip Around the Sun. How long ago was that one written?
I guess 13 years ago.
You've got quite a catalog of songs. What did Ryan think of that after you played it for him?
I think he cried.
Good. That's how it's supposed to work.
That's how you know it's a good one.
He probably should have said, I can't wait to see what you got for 11.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I need an update, don't
Part
I? I just
two.
need to keep going. Trip 11, trip 13. That's hard to do. That's a mouthful right there, though. Trip 23. No.
Maybe you can collaborate on that one with people with some ideas.
I'll get him to write it with me. He started co-writing with me some, so.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, taking a look at some of the things on chat, is there anything that that you'd like to bring up to Rachel right now? That
Please. An anonymous source wants to know if you won the $100 from that contest.
I did. I did
And-
win it.
And because you told us how you came up with the chords, the other question is to have copyright attorneys talk to you.
Unless they talk to my biology teacher, I don't think they knew until now. So, but I didn't say what song it was, so I'm okay, right?
There you go. Yeah, we do have some questions. There's a lot of interest, Rachel, in the quantity of songs you've written.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions was, like, if you kind of think about your life before marriage and after marriage, do you have a guess on how many you wrote before marriage and how many you wrote after marriage?
Let's see. I probably wrote maybe 50 before marriage.
Oh.
Yeah.
He is an
Maybe,
inspiration.
Yeah.
And
Well, a
the-
lot of time has gone by, so that helps. And I'm getting, it's like anything else. The more you practice it, the faster you get at it. The quicker it is. And used to, I would write a song and it would just like eat my brain up. Like that was all I could think of, and it would make me so tired. Just trying to think about. I mean, I think about songwriting as it's kind of like a puzzle, and it would just make me really tired. But the more you exercise those muscles, I think you can do it faster. And so, this year I'm on pace to, write over 50 songs at least this year, so I think that helps. The practice helps,
Ken wanted to know if that was a rolling capo that you're using.
Yes.
You like it?
I like it pretty good. Yeah. It's fast for me, I think.
strings
I'm
in
used
tune?
to it. Yeah. I think this one's a shub. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tom, if
Yeah.
we have time, maybe one more question.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
So this is a hypothetical, and again, this is from someone anonymous. So you're traveling in an airplane, and you got your Gibson and your Taylor. Crash, and only one guitar survives. Which one are you hoping it is?
No.
He's asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Anonymous.
Well, I'm gonna say, man, that's tough, because
Sophie's
guitars
choice.
become like children a little bit.
Sophie's choice, right?
I will confess this. So I did I made this decision. I think it was 2 weekends ago. I was flying somewhere, and my hummingbird case is like, it's one of those big, thick airplane cases. I love it. But what happens a lot of times is, one, it's heavy and it's bulky to carry around the airport, and they a lot of times don't have space for it, and so it ends up under the plane anyway, and not with me. And so I actually made the decision to take this smaller Taylor here and a backpack case, And then that actually worked out really nicely. I was able to get it in the overhead. And so
So nothing about tone width, just about what will fit up above you in the airplane.
well, it's, the point is, I don't want any of them to die. I want them
Yep.
all to
All
live.
right.
So
All right.
they are all precious to me.
Good
So
answer.
Well, there's your answer, Paul. So, yeah. Oof. That hummingbird, wasn't there? I think you shared a story with me about that hummingbird.
Yeah.
Have you, do you want to
well,
divulge?
yeah,
Do you wanna
yeah. I'll
spill the
tell you
tea?
this. So I've yeah. I
This
think
is
it's a beautiful guitar.
If you can just go ahead and visualize this beautiful Gibson, this is what is being discussed if the crash
Yeah.
were to occur.
I
You know, and it's one of Gibson's
Yeah.
top acoustics.
Yeah, I don't know. I love this one. I really love it. So yeah, this was a gift. It was a present, a really nice one, and Ryan gave it to me as he was telling me that he had signed on to stay in another 5 years. So, which was smart.
Uh-huh.
That was smart of him. So, but,
Yes, yeah. Well, that was very thoughtful.
yeah, I mean, it was great, and it kind of,
Did it help?
he got to the point where he had the opportunity where he could retire, and I think we were on board. I was on board for him to stay in, but it kind of helped. It helped. Yes, it helped a little. I mean, that always helps. I mean,
All
somebody
right.
wants to give me a Gibson, then that helps.
Or a Taylor, for that matter.
I'll take that too. I love those too.
All right. Hey, keep your questions coming over to the chat. And Paul will be back to read some more of them. But let's go ahead. Paul, see you later. We'll continue on our conversation here. In addition to knowing how to play, some instruments, the guitar and the piano, and you have played in a group setting, and, you also shared with me some other things as a musician that really, I mentioned earlier, MIDI, and how you started to really understand the recording process, and you were really I thought, wow, you really do know your stuff when it comes to some of the technology that's involved with recording. Now, do you record at home, or do you go into
Yeah.
the studio?
I'm going to back up on that and say I don't really think I know a lot. There's a lot to know. I'm always learning things.
Well, you said, I think, punch in here, and I think you were saying some
Yeah.
terminology, and I thought, you do know some,
There
some
are
stuff.
some amazing tools out there, and I use them to record, but also to write songs. Like if you could, like basic, just free things that you have, like GarageBand, that's on Apple stuff, or Cakewalk. There's like a free version of Cakewalk you can download, stuff like that, and it's just amazing how far those tools have come. And I think we were talking about, I said I use MIDI, like I've got my keyboard, and I use it just to kind of like, if I wanted to, maybe I'm gonna take a song and I want to get a good demo made of it, or I want to do a recording, like I've got one that's coming out Friday. So first thing I would do is maybe like I might make a guitar track first, and I've got a microphone, a computer at my house, and I would use the click track, set it where the tempo I wanted, record the guitar. Well, then I'm probably going to go back and use my keyboard and record, the same thing I did, the same chords, at the same tempo. And then, yeah, I think I mentioned that I used the little quantize button that actually just, because I'm not that good at piano, but it just goes, broop, and puts it all right
more
in place.
than you know.
Puts it right on tempo, and
Oh gosh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then you can decide, do I want to make the song faster, or do I want to, raise the key, and all of it's just a click of a button. You can experiment with it. So yeah, I love those tools. That's so useful. Yeah.
And I get the impression, from the veteran arts community for the Guitars for Vets Learning Center, we've had some people mention the fact that, yeah, they'd like to get into songwriting, maybe even recording. And what you're talking about right now is giving assurance that, you know what, if you wanted to do this at home, the technology, the resources are available, and some of them at no
Yeah.
cost. And clearly, you know, you've managed to introduce yourself to those resources and brought them into your music.
Yeah, it's great. It also allows you to, you know, collaborate with people who aren't in the same place, you know? So, like, you know, I'm in Nashville, my brother's in Kentucky, and so we can work on a song together, you know, instantaneously, really, and not have to be in the same room even. So that's really cool. Like,
And if we do it, you know, just for home studio purposes, could you imagine what the record companies are doing as well too? It's kind of like, you know, when they have a musician in England, for instance, and they need to have them record a track for someone in Memphis, for instance, they can do all of that stuff
Yeah,
now too.
yeah.
Pretty remarkable. Hey, can you share with us a little bit about your experience with going into the recording studio itself? What does it take to typically get you there? Do you have to make an appointment? Do you have to round up your musicians? What are some of the things that
yeah. You know, I think there's different ways to do it. Like, you know, I'm mostly, because I'm not necessarily trying to be a recording artist, I'm mostly concentrate on, like I was saying, I collaborate from home with people. But sometimes, you know, things do happen in studios, like if you wanted to get some good vocals or if you want to use a band. So like here in Nashville, there's a lot of, you know, studios, and so they're very accessible. You just would reach out to them, you know, via their social media. You get their email or their number and say, you know, hey, I'd like to come record a song. And then they're going to work with you on, like, well, do you want to use studio musicians? You know, like people who are union musicians, and they're going to, you know, get paid a certain amount. Like, are you going to bring your own musicians? So you have a lot of those choices yourself. But if you wanted to just say, hey, I've got this song idea, I've got this song, you could take it to a studio, and they could actually organize for you. They could chart it out with their musicians, you know, depending on how they do it. Here they use something called the Nashville number system. And then, you know, they'll have a session where they will record the music, and you can be there for it, you know, and then you would come back in and record your vocals. They usually have you, you know, do several takes of that, and then you have an engineer who does editing and mixing and adds all the bells and whistles and stuff like that.
the names that appear on the credits?
Yeah.
And it's extensive
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
cool.
there's so many different ways to record. You can even do that with, because there are people who are so talented that they can basically produce a whole song at their home studio. You know, if you're wanting to do something a little cheaper, there's people you can find like that easily. So let's say, you know, you're in Colorado and you're wanting to have a song made with you recording on it. You could probably talk to someone, a producer here in Nashville. They could create the entire music track for you, you know, and then if you could just go into like a local studio, somebody with a good mic or something, and put the vocal on it, you know.
Oh man.
So,
They make it easier. It sounds like,
Yeah.
they've got, it's almost like a menu selection. Yes or no? Do you want a bid? Yes or no? You know,
do
Do
you
you
want to
want
pay
M&Ms?
all the money? Yeah.
well, real good.
Right.
You know what? I'd like to think it's time for another song because you have so many of them, so many great songs. Yacht Club is the one that came up in our little pre-show discussion.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I was looking for another song. I was actually looking for Barkley Lake. And it's like,
yeah.
I didn't know it wasn't live yet. So it's like, but it brought up Yacht Club. I thought, oh, this is awesome. And then when Paul came on the pre-show, it was kind of like, yeah, it caught his ear too. So I would love to hear you perform this one. Is that cool?
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
What's the story behind that one?
All right. Well, this song, let me grab a drink real quick. I'm talking too much, I guess.
Kathy says only 796 more songs to go.
Hang
Who's
in there,
counting?
folks. Hang
Who's
in there.
counting?
A marathon.
Yeah, you know, that number just seems small to me sometimes because I'm around people that, you know, they've just written thousands of excellent songs. And I'm like, well, okay, one of these days.
You'll get
So this song is called Yacht Club, and I was sharing with Tom earlier. I wrote this song because at Ryan, our family, we were stationed in Rhode Island. So he's in the Air Force, but we are hardly ever with the Air Force. So we were with the Navy. And said I'm from Kentucky, so no ocean there. And really most of the Air Force bases are not on the ocean either. So anyway, this was the first time I'd ever lived close to the ocean. And I just caught myself just staring out at it and just how beautiful it was. And I started seeing all these beautiful sailboats and yachts. And one day I thought, I'd really like to have one of those. So I looked them up, because some of them have names, and you can look up the names and see who owns them and see how many millions of dollars they cost. And so I thought, I'm never going to get one of those. But if we went to Vegas and won some money, then maybe. And then I was thinking, but I don't gamble, so that's not going to work. So maybe I'll just write a song about it. So anyway, I wrote this song called Yacht Club, and the thing is, I did not get a yacht, but I got this guitar because I submitted this song. There's all kinds of awesome songwriting contests here in Nashville, and one of them is they have the Bluebird Cafe, which is known for being a songwriters venue where like Garth Brooks and Taylor Swift got discovered. And so they have this contest monthly that anybody can enter online called the Bluebird Golden Pick Contest, and it's in cooperation with Taylor Guitars. And so if you win the contest, they like your song, you get to go play it at the Bluebird, and then you get to get a guitar. So
congratulations.
This is a nice little Grand Theater guitar. It's actually made in California, and it's like one of those, so they took, I guess, ash trees, like in parts of cities in Southern California, trees that were kind of like at the end of their life, and they make these guitars out of them. So that's pretty cool. Anyway,
right.
Back to the song.
Work, work, baby, work our fingers to the bone. Had our mind right on the money since the day that we left home. Gotta get out of this desert before we roast. When we finally strike it rich, we're heading straight out for the coast and join the yacht club. Baby, you and me taking our love, sailing on the sea. We'll be hot stuff like celebrities in a yacht club. Hey baby, we can dream. So roll, roll, honey, roll 'em once and roll 'em twice, 'cause our fantasy is riding on the fate of those two dies. Ooh, I'm feeling lucky, baby, do you feel it too? Gonna get us a membership, yeah, we'll be going soon to the yacht club. Baby, you and me taking our love, sailing on the sea. We'll be high stuff, high society in the yacht club. Hey baby, we can dream in the yacht club, in the yacht club. So dress your best and break out the champagne. Darling, you and I can make it rain. Ooh. Captain, I can see it crystal clear. Just $100 million and the perfect hand from here. Destiny is calling, such a pretty paradise where we don't worry about the money. Honey, ain't it nice in the yacht club? Baby, you and me taking our love, sailing on the sea. We'll
Very nice, Rachel.
Thank you.
Yacht Club. All right. We had talked about the organization, Operation Encore, and the significant role that they're playing in your ability to get your music out there. Is there something that you could share about them? Because, again, if this is one of those resources that makes themselves available to veterans and songwriters, this audience might want to follow up on
Yeah.
that. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. If you're interested, if you're interested in being a singer-songwriter artist, and you think you're close to that, or you think you're going to be there someday, you definitely want to check out Operation Encore. It's operationencore.org. So what they do is they're a nonprofit, and they specialize in helping veterans and members of the military community like me, spouses, pursue professional careers in singer songwriting, as an artist. And so, like, that could mean they have resources where they can, pay for flights, pay for recordings. They're constantly doing that. People are needing, like, mastering on their songs, or they're wanting to make a recording, or they're needing gas money to travel to gigs. That's what they're there for. And they're connected. They have this great thing. You don't actually have to be an Operation Encore artist, like, on their roster, but they have this thing that they do every year at Zach Brown's Camp Southern Ground in Georgia called Warrior Song. And what that is it's also for people who are wanting to pursue a professional career. They bring in industry people, they bring in, like, hit songwriters, and it's really awesome. They, just tell you things that they know, and help you just kind of, basically the Operation Encore idea is that, these guys that came up with the idea, they said, we're in the military and we see all these super talented people, we're deployed, people have their guitars and they're playing and they're singing and they're terrific. They could be, famous, they could be professionals, but they've served in the military and now they've kind of gotten behind in their career. So we're going to step in there and try to propel them forward and fill in that gap. At the same time, we're going to use their songs that are about, some of them are about their lives, about being in the military. It's just, like, I think what they say is less than 1% of people even know somebody who served. That seems crazy to me because that's like my whole world. But I think that they're trying to kind of bridge a gap there and say, hey, military people have something to say. They have the same kind of lives you do. They have families, they have issues, and kind of do that. So anyway, they're an awesome organization. So if you think you're there, they have a submission window every year. I think they just had their submission window this year, had like 50 people apply to be artists, and they chose 5. But if that's something that you are interested in, probably maybe like next January, I think maybe their submission window will open again. So it's a great organization to be a part of or to support.
Hey, you're going to be performing at Hero Stock this year. Hero Stock,
Yeah.
Nashville. Hero Stock. It's in Lebanon, I think, is what
It
it is.
is.
How exciting! Are there a number of Operation Encore artists, I believe, also attending?
Yeah.
Was this an arrangement that was made with Operation Encore, or was this our friend Jason Steiner?
Well, so Jason knows some Operation Encore artists who you've also had on here before, Scotty Hastings, Shannon Book. And so, that's another great thing about, Operation Encore or Hero Stock, being involved, with Guitars for Vets. It just kind of like interconnects and those relationships build, and it's a lot of fun. You're able to kind of help each other out. So, yeah, it's I think it just turned out that way. So I think it's going to be, I think Scotty's going to be the headliner, Scotty Hastings, Shannon Book's going to be there, me, Barbara Sim, and I'm not sure if
There's a
I
whole
don't know.
bunch of them.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe
artists.
Derek Stoner, but I don't know if he's in this one or not. But
Well, good
Yeah.
luck. Good luck. And by the
Thank
way,
you. I'm looking forward
just
to it.
just as an FYI, their Hero Stock is raffling off a Rask guitar, raskguitars.com.
I,
And
Yeah.
here's what I think you might find interesting. You have to let Ryan know about this. So when you go to Nashville, when you go to Lebanon to perform, make sure to get your hands on the guitar, because on the back of that guitar itself is a part of an A10 plane. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
it's
Warthog.
a Warthog. It's
Yeah.
basically Robert had made the guitar and added several pieces of military gear into the guitar itself, which makes it so special. And when you said A10, I thought to myself, well, that guitar has a part of an A10, and
Yeah.
it's I think it'd be. I don't know if Ryan's going to be attending, but if he does, he can authenticate it.
Yeah, I bought my ticket as soon as
Oh, you
I
did?
saw. Yeah, so Ryan, I don't know if we mentioned that yet tonight, but he flew A10s for a lot of years. Flew the Warthog, and so yeah, I bought my ticket. Fingers crossed.
I'm saying the
So-
same thing.
Yeah, I
And you
love
can
those
find it at
Rask
herostock.org
guitars.
/win if you're interested in getting that guitar. It's a beautiful guitar. And anyway, we can go on about that. But listen, we should probably get to the questions. Paul, I'm going to bring you back up here. Get to any of the final questions. And then we've got one video that I don't know if that's all that you have left to share. Because I know
Unless you
got
want me
a
to
few
go
more
on
songs.
with the
Or if you go-
800 songs, then
Well, we do.
I might need to get some coffee.
Paul, you any more questions?
I think the only thing we have right now are the chatsters are really admiring the dexterity of her thumb, being able to grab those
Oh.
bass notes.
Nice.
It's a really
Yeah.
bendy thumb.
Who taught you that? Do you recall who taught you that? Was that a tip
You know,
from?
I don't know actually. I think I just kind of started hearing those bass lines and it just kind of fell into place. But yeah, I don't really know.
Tips from the professionals. we're
Sometimes
always
it goes too much. I'm like, stop it, stop doing all those things. But
yeah. Do you
Calm it down a
do
little.
do you do alternate tunings by any chance? Do you mess around with that at all?
I do well. Actually, the last song that you're gonna play is a drop D. But that's basically all I've done so far. I like the Nashville tuning. That's a pretty cool one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is the high strings.
Yeah. You take the high
It's a
string.
tie of the 12 string pack. You take the high strings, right?
Yeah, it gives kind of a neat sound.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any songs recorded with that setup?
I don't. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I do, but I have one.
Name it.
But it hasn't been released yet. It hasn't been released yet.
Oh.
So
Yeah. One of the questions, of course, that we'll all ask is, you got any projects in the pipeline that you'd like to share with us? I mean, you got a new recording that's coming out, which is probably the
do.
video that I'm going to play.
that's it. Yeah. That's the immediate one.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, don't we all have projects going on all the time? I mean.
I have a
But-
honeydew list.
Yeah.
Does that
There you
count?
go. Yeah. I actually, when we finish with this, I'm going to go finish painting a room that I started yesterday. But yeah, I have a song coming out Friday. It's called Barkley Lake. It's a little on the dark side, but there's a reason. It's because I started getting some feedback, like here in Nashville, everybody's like, I don't know, your songs are a little too sweet, because I had a lot of love songs, and they're like, they're not very believable, but I was like, but that's my life. But anyway, I challenged myself to write something a little bit darker. So it's a murder song, and it's a bluegrass song. So comes out Friday. It's called Barkley Lake. So you guys are going to hear it, but I'd love for you to, share it, listen to it, and all that good stuff when it comes out, and help get the word out. It's really hard to get people to listen to music these days or do things like this. So I really appreciate you guys all being here and
All right.
listening
Well,
to me ramble.
let me fire the video up and let's play it. Here we go.
All right.
marches in. Mama is a sweet soul, Mama isn't strong, no. Mama was no match for him. Today's the day that the TVA's gonna make this place a lake. Oh Lord, how much more pressure can I take? Oh, bust that dam and flood this town and wash the past away, and cover my sin and the trouble I'm in deep in Bartley Lake. I went one last time to the place where I used to sneak to the woods to play, and there parked in the dark, engine running lights on, was my daddy's Chevrolet. He was in the back seat, passed out asleep with a woman by his side. Oh Lord, I pray that I was justified. So bust that dam and flood this town and wash the past away, and cover my sin and the trouble I'm in deep in Bartley Lake. Started thinking about the pain he causes. Started thinking about that water rising. Didn't feel guilt, I just felt the cold, cold chill. Started thinking how nobody'd miss it. Nobody around, no one to witness. Didn't feel guilt, I just felt the cold, cold chill. I hope Mama don't ask it, baby, where's your jacket? 'Cause it's somewhere I can't say. Oh, I stuck it in tight, it's in a tailpipe deep in Bartley Lake. Oh, bust that dam and flood this town and wash the past away, and cover my sin and the trouble I'm in deep in Bartley Lake, and cover my sin and the trouble I'm in deep in Bartley Lake, deep in Bartley Lake.
You know, that was awesome. That was the musicianship, the lyrics. That is
you.
just excellent, Rachel. Thank you so much for giving us an advance listen ahead of everyone else. That was awesome.
I just
Well,
don't
thank
want to
you.
piss her off.
Can I ask you, do you have like songwriting heroes that you may emulate or take from when it comes to songwriting for yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm sure. I think I take a little bit from everybody, but um, you know, like people that come to my mind, Bob DiPiero. He wrote a lot of songs in the '90s, country, that sort of made music fun for me when I was, young, like, maybe like Cleopatra, the Queen of Denial, things like that, where I'm like, oh, that's funny, that's clever. He wrote American Made, the Oak Ridge Boys song, and just a whole bunch of just really fun and entertaining songs from the '90s. I also think of like, these are are country songwriters mostly, but like Don Schlitz, who wrote like the Keith Whitley and Alison Krauss song "When You Say Nothing at All," and Kenny wrote some songs for Kenny Rogers, and you know, modern day I like Laurie McKenna.
Wow. Okay.
You know, I don't know. There's a ton of them. I'm gonna forget like 1,000 people, but yeah, I'm always like I think it's funny because you know, I'll listen to a song. We'll be listening to a song and I'll be like, oh yeah, so and so wrote that. You know, because you know, that's what's interesting to me. I guess some people know who played what on an album, you know, or who, but
album covers or CDs. It's kind of like, oh, I gotta memorize these players. You know?
It's fun. Like, you know,
lyrics.
You listen to, you know, I was, sometimes you make those connections. Like one day I was thinking about like, I don't know if you know, like Def Leppard and Shania Twain. You can hear a lot of the same influences because of the same writer, you know. I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely hear Def Leppard in some of Shania Twain's songs. So, you know, it's just like
interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking the same thing. I was listening to, my wife is a fan of Katie Lang, and her manager and violin player, Ben Mink, produced an album for Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart.
Oh.
And it's kind of like, ooh, it's kind of like Katie Lang's music, but it's electric and it rocks. And it's like, and you hear him playing, it's kind of like, that's really cool that musicians can cross over into these different genres and still bring their style.
Some fun things there. Like people definitely leave their fingerprints, you know, like, because we're all individuals, even if we're playing the same instrument, you know, so.
Rachel, it's time to wrap it up. I mean, we're into the top of the hour here on the West Coast at 7:00, but I cannot thank you, you know, for taking the time away from your busy schedule, because you're out there, you're playing, you're performing, you're writing, you're doing a ton of things, and that's not to mention, you know, the things that you're doing with Ryan and your family and all. So thank you again for taking the time to talk through what it's like to be a military spouse and a singer-songwriter in this era. We need to do this again because I know that you've got another 742 songs to go. So we'd love to have you back.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure hanging out with y'all, and I appreciate y'all for listening, and I'd love to do it again sometime. Yeah.
So everyone who's attending tonight, I don't know if you've got time, Rachel, maybe stick around for a few questions. I mean, the audience may have a few extra words to share with you.
Yeah.
Please join us for our next episode of Song Sung True, A Veteran's View, where our guest is U.S. Army veteran, Memphis recording artist, Colorado singer-songwriter Timothy Megan Jr. He's been on the show before, and he's got some things that he wants to share, including some new recordings. So that is going to be happening, I believe, on August 8th. So we'll get the flyers up, and we'd love to have everyone who's here tonight join us for that. And until next time, for Paul Lilly, for Rachel Hill, I'm Tom Lamont, Guitars for Vets. Song Sung True, A Veteran's View. We'll see you next time.